What do we do at Artefact? Well, we clearly set the data at the core of our offers. We have three ways of delivering value to our client. The first, clearly, our DNA is organized around what we call data marketing, which is basically helping our client become much more independent toward more customer centricity. So we basically help them end-to-end, to that matter, basically define what is the learning agenda, identify and implement the right processes, skills and tools, and then basically build the right capability to be much more independent towards this customer centricity. To do that, we also help in the full data transformation of our clients with the right strategy, the right people and skills, the right infrastructure and data governance, which will be the layer of the data transformation. To finish, we are also helping our client in the activation of this data through very complex data-driven marketing campaigns, which could be today very sophisticated with a lot of different channels through social CRM, for example, e-commerce campaigns, multi-channel with programmatic as an example. So, to illustrate much more concretely what we do for our clients, we've chosen to illustrate to you three cases in actually the three main offer we can deliver to our client. So first, to start, I would like to talk to you about one very impressive case we did for our client with L'Oréal Trendspotter. To talk a bit more about this beautiful project, I'm very happy to welcome today Amal. Amal, you're a senior data scientist at Artefact. Can you tell us a bit more about yourself and what you did previously?
Thank you for receiving me today. I am Amal El Amri, a senior data scientist at Artefact for a bit less than 2 years now. And I have had the opportunity to develop real expertise in NLP, especially in text mining and text classification, which was very useful in the project we're going to speak about.
Very nice. Can you give us a bit more about the context of this project and why was it important for L'Oréal?
Yes, so L'Oréal is a company that has been investing a lot in innovation. Innovation is at the heart of their strategy, and new product launching is really crucial for L'Oréal's strategy. So they needed to have a little bit more leverage on AI and data to decide what product to launch.
Very interesting. So what was the objective of this project and why is the use of AI basically?
So they wanted to go a step further by leveraging AI and data to drive those business decisions on what would be the next product to launch and what would be a successful project in the 6 to 18 months to come.
Okay, so can you tell us a bit more about the main features of this project and why this is so cool and so different from what you experience and what we can see on other type of project like that?
So it was very important for L'Oréal to have a custom tool to their needs. They wanted to have both social and non-social data in the corpus that would serve the detection module. So we have two goals for this project. The first one is to detect small signals in a very large corpus of data, and the big challenge in that is to denoise all non-relevant publications that we collect anyway. Once we have done that, we have to be able to predict whether or not this trend is going to be successful if it's launched at L'Oréal. So we have to do that in a timeline of 6 to 18 months. So it's a big challenge, and we have to materialize this with the real features, such as metrics like engagement rate or reach, and also contextual features, such as the global sentiment around the publication mentioning this trend.
So basically predicting the future.
Basically, yes.
Very cool. So can you give us a bit of a sense of what are the results now in terms of adoption of this tool, but also in terms of, I would say, performance of these tools?
In order for the tool to be adopted by users, they need to understand it. So we have to develop a whole illustration module that really gives insights to the users of why the AI responded that way, and to give more context on how this trend is mentioned. And so far we have more than 100 people using the app, and today we receive amazing feedbacks from users of all around the world, because we're working with L'Oréal Group, and the L'Oréal Group means we have to make our tool available in 3 continents and to understand 6 different languages, Among them, there were some very big challenges for Korean and Japanese. And so today we are very happy to have detected more than 500 trends, all approved by business teams as very, very relevant. Among them, there were 75% of trends that were detected way before you can notice it on any spike of awareness such as Google Trends.
So, quite impressive.
Thank you.
Congratulations for the success. Good luck for the remaining steps, because I understand there is a lot of next steps.
Yes, we're shipping the project on production soon. So yeah.
Cool. So thank you very much, Amal, for coming today, and good luck for the next steps.
Thank you for receiving me today.
So for our next case, we're going to talk about AI transformation with a very exciting case we built with Carrefour, which is basically building a full AI accelerator called the AI Lab. So for this case, I'm very happy to welcome today Elina. Elina, you're the director of the AI Lab Carrefour. You've worked with us on the last 2 years on this case. Can you please tell us a bit more about yourself?
Sure. Hello, so I'm Elina. I have been with the lab for almost 2 years, pretty much since the beginning and since the times that you have joined us. Prior to that, I was part of the corporate strategy team, and actually my initial educational background is in math, so I feel quite at home within the AI Lab.
Very interesting. Now, one question about the context. Can you tell us a bit more why the AI Lab was so important for Carrefour?
Sure, so this is, the lab was part of the more global alliance that we have signed with Google. And the idea was to have some very concrete realization of that alliance, having people that will work on our data, build solutions specifically for Carrefour customers and operational staff. And we had a very, very strong desire not to simply create an R&D center, but really create the solutions that will go in production, that will become real and will generate value. And we felt this was probably the best setup to try and reach that objective.
So you mentioned people. Can you tell us more about the main expertise of this lab? There is Carrefour people, Artefact people, Google people. Can you tell us a bit more how this expertise combine together and how they work together to create AI product at the lab?
Sure, so there's 3 main types of sort of know-how that we have within the lab. We have product owners, we have data scientists, we have data engineers. The team today is about 50% internal hires and 50% Artefact on a daily basis. There's no difference who is who. They really do work in mixed feature team. Another very important player within the lab, actually Carrefour operational staff. They might not be there, on a daily basis, but they're the ones who decide what products we'll work on. They'll decide who explain their vision, and they will help us along the way and make sure that we get where we're trying to go. Now, Google is today, their role is really to make sure that we're on top of things in terms of their latest technology, how to make sure how the fastest way to put solutions into production, making sure that we know about some ready-made products that we can directly put into the hands of the operational staff without reinventing the wheel. So things like Google Data Studio for their dashboarding needs. So that works pretty well as a nice orchestra.
So combination of expertise, methodology and technology with the help of Google.
Absolutely.
Looks like very good synergies. So thank you, Lina. Now can you zoom into maybe a few projects that are in production or in earlier stage of production that actually are coming out of the lab?
Sure. So I think I'll start with the ones that today are the closest to actually getting us the title of sort of AI factory. The first project is there to help address the needs of the owners of our convenience stores. As you know, we have thousands and thousands of these stores, and finding just the right product selection is very big challenge. So today we actually use collaborative filtering inspired by Netflix to make product recommendations for these franchisees. And this solution is actually in process of going into production. It will be integrated into IT systems, and in 2021 it will be available to 100% of our convenience store network. So that one is really a huge source of pride. This will be the first one to really, make it be industrialized and scaled. The second project that's not far behind is really very much aligned with Carrefour's strategy of being the food transition leader, which is the forecasting of bakery sales in order to make sure that the products neither are wasted at the end of the day and that we don't have sort of unhappy customers because we didn't bake enough croissants or baguettes. We have seen some very strong performance from our solutions versus the existing solutions in terms of forecast accuracy. So that one will go in production also in Q1, and then throughout the year we'll add more and we'll scale more to other product categories.
Very interesting. So it's completely scalable and industrialized. We see a lot of use cases. We are just at the stage of a POC or a first trial, and what we can hear from what you said is that it's fully deployed at scale at Carrefour. You have also other use cases who are at perhaps an earlier stage of deployment?
One of the cases that's probably worth mentioning, something we launched in June, and this is to help our pricing teams to integrate the notion of pricing elasticity into the way that they make decisions about the prices. So I think just like a lot of other retailers, we use the methods that are probably slightly outdated, and just over a couple of months we already have a model that is able to detect with significant level of certainty whether the products are highly elastic or inelastic, and this of course will be used by the pricing team to better allocate their investment. And then we have numerous other projects that are probably a bit simpler, which we maybe initially didn't even want to do because there was not really artificial intelligence, but this is something what we call data use. We train our operational staff on Carrefour data, how to use Carrefour data, and how to build dashboarding tools. And usually these projects, these tools are built within 1 week, and they really help truly transform the company, as so many people are now getting excited about the data and making sure data is part of their daily life.
So thank you. Maybe one last question. According to you, what is the future and what is your vision for the lab in the future?
As I mentioned earlier, we really want to have the status of artificial intelligence factory. We have so many projects and ideas to build on, so we want to make sure that they start really coming out at very high speed. As you mentioned, we want to touch everything: merchandise, supply, e-commerce, marketing, but we also want to make sure that it's a really great place of inspiration and a really nice place to work.
Thank you, Ina. It was very, very insightful and very inspiring. We wish you the best for the next steps.
Thank you.
Now we're gonna talk about our next case, which is basically leveraging data and AI to improve the e-retail performance of Group Seb.
Group Seb, a world reference in small domestic appliances, recently launched Clean & Steam, an innovative product that both vacuums and cleans your floors. To reach their prospects and clients, they decided to sell it on the biggest marketplace today, Amazon. We developed a proprietary tool that tracks KPIs, such as market share evolution or media share of voice, but also provides actionable insights to support decision-making. We helped Group Seb to save time in their monitoring, gather competitive data, make better business decisions, and increase their turnover. Now it's your turn to enter the Amazon playing field.
So as you can see in this example, at Artefact, we really leverage data to improve the e-retail performance. In general, we see e-retail and e-commerce becoming a major stake for our clients, for brands. And we are, I would say, beyond this example, helping our clients face this difficult stake for the future. First, and you can see it in the example, how to improve the accessibility and the discoverability of products in a context where actually all brands are leveraging this platform, and where we can see that consumers are really switching from one brand to another much more easily than in the offline world. Second is basically setting up the right data partnership between brands and retailers, where we see the value of data is that it will help brands to improve their insight, but also improve the way they will target and attract new consumers. And to finish, we see e-commerce and e-retail not only as a way to address consumers, obviously this is the case, but also a challenge because companies must transform themselves. So there is a full challenge on transformation of big brands towards more e-commerce centricity.